Hey everyone, this is Dan, the GM, bringing you episode 163 of What the Dice. With 163 episodes under our belt, we are still asking for more ratings and reviews. And it's not just for us, it's for all those podcasts you listen to. Every time you give a rating or a review, it helps us get up in the rankings so that algorithm sees us. So, do that for not just us, but for all the podcasts you listen to. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of What the Dice. It's noon when the word finally hit. There's been confirmation. War tribes are on the move. They're cutting through trade routes, following the path of merchants and travelers. Pathways in and out of elven territories are completely shut down. We are hearing rumors of sea creatures, massive, going after merchant ships of all kinds. Clerics in the area are charging more. It's taking them more time and more energy to heal people. Something is amiss. We take a deep breath as we decide we're heading down to the storyteller's campsite. The pathway down is quiet, and we can hear the ocean. Getting there, the fire is not lit, and the storyteller is sitting there, his hands on the book as he slowly opens it, looking up at us with a smile.
Well, me friends. You look down. I'm sure that the word of the war that is slowly spreading has gotten back here. Trade routes and sea routes becoming more and more dangerous. Well, I don't know about you, but sometimes a tale will help me get past the blues of what's going on around us. So, let us discuss what the adventurers have had to deal with. Well, besides finding the Nagas, they found out that they are, in a sense, trapped. Yes, they are told they can leave whenever they want, but you and I both know that the biggest monster of all cities and kingdoms is the council. They have control that most mortal man, or woman, or creature hath not of. I'm sure there's a dragon or two out there that even trembles at the idea of having to go in front of some form of council. But the adventurers are strong, and they are dealing with it. They have dealt with one, and now they must move on to the one known as Redeyes. So sit back, me friends, and hear me tale.
In the last episode, y'all got a chance to deal with Green Eyes, having a short discussion with him, which led to him agreeing with what you said after going through a couple of motions that, for most, would seem extra and not needed. But you, respecting the bureaucracy that is been established, you were able to make headway and get him on your side.
Hooray, bureaucracy.
We come back with y'all outside of Green Eyes' office, seeing Red Eyes talking to some guards, Yellow Eyes walking into a building cut into the walls of the canyon, and the strange merchant walking around trying to peddle his wares to random people.
Alright, how far away is Red Eyes and him talking to the guards from us?
Probably about 50, 60 meters.
Okay, so not within hearing range.
Yep, and Yellow Eyes is basically walking into a building.
Okay, so nothing to be gleamed off of Yellow Eyes, even though he's our next... Oh no, Red Eyes is next. Yellow Eyes is last. Well, shall we just go ahead and head over to Redeyes, or shall we go back to Nari to see if there is a proper protocol to follow?
Let's hit with Nari first, because I get the feeling that Redeyes is all about protocol and what have you.
All right, back to Nari for a pit stop.
As you are walking towards the library, you hear the same jingle of pots and pans, and you hear the sound of a table being flung open and dropped behind you. My friends, I know you are adventurers that see the world. I have things and trinkets that will astound and amaze. Please, browse my wares. I have a monkey fist that can answer any wish. He sets it down. I have this globe that shows you the world. He sets that down. I have maps and storybooks and armor and spurs. Please, investigate my wares.
Are your wares in better condition than last time?
Absolutely. I only pulled out the best.
Normally you want to pull out the best the first time you meet your customer.
Well, you must always sell the junk first, and you did not seem like you had the most discerning eyes at first. But you do, of course, my friend, of course. But please, look.
Defibrius will humor him and take a look.
Kalila will humor him as well and glance.
As you look, the globe that he is speaking of is basically just a ball that children would play with that has been painted blue with random brown spots. You look and you see things of the monkey paw that he is talking about. It is an actual monkey paw. The problem is all the fingers have been pushed down, which means it has no more magic left in it. You see a couple other trinkets that, upon further inspection, are either junk or damaged beyond repair.
I'm good, thanks.
Well, then I will see you again, my friends, when I have more stock to show you and many, many fine things. He folds the table in half and promptly snakes away.
I still want to know how he folds that table in half without breaking everything.
I don't know, but I'm impressed that he can get up behind people and dispense it that fast. That is truly amazing.
Maybe you should ask him the next time it happens.
I wonder if he'd sell that table.
You can ask. I'm sure he'll be back.
Because if it doesn't break anything, I could convert it into a workbench. Remind me of that next time.
All right, I will remind you of that next time, because that would be a great mobile bench for you. As she heads to the library.
As you walk into the library, you can see that Nari has fallen asleep with piles of books around her. She has been scribbling notes that are starting to kind of coalesce the information that she has been gathering between everything.
I feel kind of bad waking her up.
I kind of feel bad about it too, but we definitely need to make sure we make a good impression.
Kalila will lightly tap a claw on the desk. Just enough to hopefully wake her up.
She kind of shakes her head for a moment. Sorry.
It's okay. We felt bad waking you up. We just had a quick question.
Yes.
Is there a best approach to Redeyes? Do we need to make an appointment or something?
Redeyes usually takes meetings by appointment only. Yellow Eyes, you could probably... No one bothers him, so you could probably just walk into his office. But Redeyes, yeah, you just talk to one of the guards about wanting to speak to him, and they'll set you up with some kind of either appointment or the process to get the appointment.
We'll nod and offer her a blanket. You should take a nap.
No, I'm good. There's a lot of information in these books, and it is so contradicting. I don't understand how and why he gave us this information.
I'll ask when I get back, then.
Yes.
She'll look at Defibrius and head out unless he has anything to ask her.
Nope. He's up. All right, let's go make an appointment.
To the guards.
Walking out, you see a handful of guards just mulling about, being guards, doing what guards do.
And she's going to approach the specific guards that she saw Redeyes talking to.
You find them. They are sitting at a table, enjoying what at a tavern, eating food, drinking. They seem to be out of uniform, like they're in uniform, but their badges are off.
Oh, well, they're off duty.
They just don't have their badges and weapons on them. So you do not know if they are off duty or not.
You want to handle this one, Defibulous?
Yeah, I'll try. Defibulous will stroll up to the guards at the table. Evening.
They look up, and one of them raises his stein. It is evening.
Indeed. We're not interrupting you guys. Are you off? You're off duty now, I'm assuming.
We're at lunch, but have a seat.
Thank you. Defibulous will join them at the table.
Kalila will politely do so.
Have you guys tried the rabbit and the rice? Amazing.
Yes, we have. We live here. It's a staple.
Oh, well, it's really well done, because I've had rice and rabbit in other places, not nearly as good.
Good to hear.
I was curious, though. How do we get... We're looking to set up a meeting with, your boss. How do we go about that?
With Redeyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can set you up with an appointment. That shouldn't be too hard. It'll take a couple of hours, but yeah.
I would hate to intrude. Would you be willing to do that after your lunch?
Oh yeah. Once we finish lunch, we'll get a message to him, and then we'll send a message out to you with the information, or we'll find you. It's not like you wouldn't be hard to find. You're the only adventurers in town right now.
Very true. I would greatly appreciate it if you could.
Yeah, I can take care of that for you.
Oh, thank you. I definitely appreciate it.
Anything else?
If you ask how we got the meeting, I will make sure to put in a good word for you guys, because I appreciate the help.
Yeah, well, he'll know it's us anyway, because we have to tell him.
Oh, well, okay. But still, you guys did a great job. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Defibulous will nod to them all and hop up out of his chair and excuse himself.
Okay.
Kalila will follow and go, now what? Just hang out for a little while?
We have an hour. They said take about an hour, so yeah, pretty much.
You could approach Yellow Eyes.
Do we want to do this out of order?
That voice just said we could approach Yellow Eyes.
Talking to you again. Are we going to listen to him this time?
Yeah, I tend to ignore him a lot of the times, or it, whatever it is. I guess we could. I mean, yeah, might as well. I have no argument this time.
Hooray, Defibulous, listen to me.
That's it.
Not doing it anymore.
Sees Defibulous cross his arms, just sit down on the bench. Nope, not doing it. But alright, yeah, I guess we can go see.
Politely knock on Yellow Eyes' door.
As you knock, the door opens up. The room is very dimly lit, and you can see Yellow Eyes' yellow eyes glinting brightly in the lowered light. He is sitting behind a desk, and he waves to summon you in.
She'll politely walk in.
As you walk in, he waves his hand across the air, and the door slowly closes behind you. He opens his hands, indicating 2 chairs that are set in front of his desk.
Seems like you were expecting us.
He nods.
Yeah, thank you for the hospitality and the chairs.
He nods again.
Sit.
He leans forward and clasps his hands together and just looks at you, waiting.
So, we have heard that you are... I forget, did he vote against us, or was he just not voting?
He is voting against you, but no one knows why.
So, we've heard that you are voting against us, and we are curious as to your reasoning why you're voting against us.
And what knowledge we could provide to potentially change that.
He stares at you two for a long, uncomfortable, silent moment before waving his hand across the desk. And you begin to see the Godspell and the Miranda
appear. He lightly taps them. These shouldn't exist.
You're right. But we didn't bring them into existence.
But, they shouldn't exist, but they do. But, as I kind of learned on the Godspell and kind of even the Miranda, there's something bizarre about how they exist. They don't even exist in correlation to each other correctly. The Godspell, according to their records and what the information we found, crashed, what was it, 2,500 years ago or some nonsense like that?
2,300
years ago. You know.
We still have the data pad if you want to show him that.
Oh, that's right. He'll take that out and present it to Goldeyes. Yes, they crashed. Now you go to the Miranda and you talk to those folks.
They say that the Godspell just launched.
Just launched on its maiden voyage.
Mm-hmm.
And even they thought it was odd that we have record that it shows it crashed. So, yeah. So, there's definitely a very large discrepancy in time with these people. So, I mean, I don't know much about time travel or time magics whatsoever, but it sounds like both of them are out of place, out of time for where they belong.
And as tempting as it was to stay and try and figure out that wasn't our mission nor our goal. And rather than getting sucked into something that could make us lose track of time, we decided to continue on our mission.
He begins to kind of speed through a couple of the things, and he stops, pointing at the injectables that you all had. How do these work?
We didn't figure that out. Whenever I looked at it with detect magic, it was like there was magic, but it was in a void. And when I tried to commune with my god, along with Faye, who was with us, tried to commune with her god, it was like shouting into an empty cave. And it just bounced back at you.
I couldn't figure it out. I'm assuming it's maybe a form of alchemy?
They said it was science.
I mean, alchemy is kind of a science. How you depend on your look at, but it was even beyond my ability to. A lot of it was beyond my ability to understand fully. But I'm assuming it's something they have that is more advanced than what we're using normally.
You see him swipe his hand across the table, and it fast forwards and it stops on the addicted. What are these?
People who took way too many of the thing before. There was a instruction label on them that said, use only once or twice a day. Those guys were using it like 30 times a day.
Also that something they called a runner snuck aboard the Miranda and put a batch of that stuff in to be
tampered with it.
Yeah, tampered with it, and it had a highly addictive side effect to it.
So it wasn't supposed to do that. Someone messed with it, and then it did bad things.
Exactly.
He stares at the image of the addicted for a moment, and then swipes to make it go away.
They were trying to, by the time we left and we helped them, we stopped the poison stuff going out, and they said they might be able to start treating some of them, so there is hope for them.
Yeah, Emma's friend said that she had made some kind of discovery, so they were working at fixing it.
He stares at you two for a long, uncomfortable moment, his claw tapping lightly on his table. And if these creatures came to the mainland, how much of a threat are they? Or are they...
They're killable.
And of their healing equipment, their salves, their medical, how good is it?
We have some of that, don't we, Kalima?
I know we ran out of the ones we were using, the shocker and the sparker or whatever. We might still have one or two of the healing ones. I don't remember ever using them, but I thought we got them.
Defibulous will tear into the bag of holding looking for him, which my note says we have at least one.
Okay.
And he will take it out and present it to him. He goes, "Here you go. Take a look at it if you like."
We never used the healing one, but if it's as any good as the others, which we did have to use on ourselves, but in limitation, I think in totality, each of us used it twice over the course of several days.
At least I think it was days, because time is really weird down there.
The fire one made my paws feel warm, and it was like casting magic. I could melt a wall of ice by touching my hands to it and thinking about it. I think the electrical one was like casting lightning spells from your hand. I don't think we used the cold one.
I think Faye used it.
Hmm.
But the healing one, as far as I can tell, it sounds like it would work just as well. Like I said, we never had to use it.
But there was really no ill side effects to just using it occasionally.
He nods. Defibulous, as you pull that syringe out of the bag of holding, it begins to ash and blow away in a very steady movement.
Well, that's new. What the?
He looks and watches as it just kind of blows away and looks down, swipes across the table, and an image just before it ashes appears. He studies it for a moment and he nods. This is corrupt magic. It doesn't have a place in our world. It cannot exist with the magic that is within the world of Niratova.
Well, then it looks like you have your answer as to what would happen if any of that came up here. It would ash.
And I wonder if that means that the addicted would ash if they came up here, since they have so much of it in their systems.
Well, I mean, if they are from... Regardless of which direction in time you go to, they're unstable here. Or if it's corrupted magic, I would say they probably would ash.
He nods, staring at you two for a long moment. If face to face with death, knowing that your mortal coil could be ripped from you, would you still stand your ground against a god?
Yep, I would. But then again, I have very interesting views on gods, so.
I believe in my god. If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. If not, I'm going to do what I need to do, god or not. I mean, that's our entire purpose, is to stand against a god. If I wasn't comfortable with doing that, I wouldn't have taken this crazy mission.
He nods for a slow moment, and a smile creeps across his lips. Then, when you speak to Redeyes, ask him about the invasion force. He may have work for you.
Okay.
He reaches over to a black orb and swipes his hand across it. It pulses white for just a moment and then returns to being that dormant black.
Any other words of advice from you? Or other knowledge you wish to give us about the items we've obtained? So far, each one of you has been able to provide something of use.
And have we assured or quelled your fears of us doing things wrong or badly?
If you are willing to stand against a god, no matter what you do, good or bad, you will do. He looks over at Kalila As for your question, according to the manuscripts, this is not the first time the Bone God has been faced. Each time, something has not worked. I feel as if and when you speak to the ferryman, he will be able to give you the knowledge you seek. Everything we tell you is of speculation, pulling at strings and straws from the blindness, looking through words of forgotten texts. Magic is leaving this world. Nothing we do can stop that.
All right.
He nods.
So let's go see if our hour is up and if we have an appointment.
Sounds good. And thanks for taking the time to see us
He nods.
after they leave. He didn't strike me as such a bad guy.
No, he seemed more reasonable than the others. I guess he had more concerns we were going to bring technology to people who weren't ready for it.
That sounds about right.
If anything, I'd be more concerned about the stuff that's on the Godspell than there was in the Miranda. That stuff you can actually touch.
Yeah, but I don't think that half the stuff on the Godspell works as well as it did on the Miranda.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. But they have the snakes.
I still want one.
Well, when we kill a god, we'll go back and ask for one and see if they're ready to leave their ship.
Oh, I wonder if I can get one of the Baka to give me one of those automaton things too.
Oh, I'm sure Baka would give you one of those, no problem. That and we have to give him a little plushie of that orc magician.
Yeah.
But Kalila will go find those guards, see if they're still eating or if they were...
No, they have walked off, and you see one of them is slowly approaching you.
Oh, good. She'll meet them halfway.
He smiles. He's like, well, it seems as if Redeyes is expecting you.
Yeah, we figured he was. But we still wanted to be polite and follow his rules.
He chuckles. He's like, yes, we all need to follow his rules. As weird as some of them are. But yes, if you head on to the north, you'll find him in the guard captain's office.
Thanks for setting up the meeting.
Yep.
To the north.
As you approach north, there is the guard captain's office. It is clearly labeled, and the door is open, and you can see Redeyes sorting through a few books and papers as he is clearly waiting for you.
Give a light back at the knuckle tap on the door.
He stands, points.
Sit. Seems we have much to discuss, and apparently I am the last that was on your list.
We didn't want to just barge into your office. We figured we'd make an appointment.
Yes, I had many things to deal with, and you were at the bottom of that list. Your arrival seemed inconvenient at best.
So sorry.
As you should be. Adventurers always seem to have things their way. Now, it seems as if I have questions for you, and I am sure you have questions for me. So let's start with you. What questions do you have of me?
You
Well,
want to take this one? Yeah.
we're curious we heard you voted no against us. We'd like to know why.
He looks at Kalila, then looks at you.
Well, let's see. Let's start from the beginning of what I saw in the Manosphere. You started with 3, went to 4, dropped down to 3, dropped down to 2. Seems you have a bad habit of losing partners. I don't know the conversation you had, of course, and you've seen it. On top of that, we have you, Defibulus, who is a gun manufacturer by trade, someone who revels in destruction and seems to cause it wherever they go.
Looking at Kalila.
And then we have a young child that is fresh from her village. How can
you be trusted to make the right decision on what will and won't happen to this god.
All right. I don't know about her, but at least on mine, gun manufacturing was predominantly my brother's deal. The majority of my family, we studied the ancient technology because we wanted to understand it. We wanted to see how it was made, learn from it, and share it. Yeah, I do blow things up in my adventure. I do, but sometimes that's the best solution for some of the problems we encounter. Like an army of undead people bent on slaughtering a bunch of good people for no reason other than they kill. So yeah, that's at least my answer to or counter to your argument.
And as far as mine, I'm following the advice and guidance of a god. So if you want to question a god, you can question a god. But as far as to answer why we started with 3, went to 4, and went to 2, well, back down to 3 and then to 2, since you can't hear the conversations that are happening in those visions that you oh so politely asked to view, we lost Clyde, the paladin, because he was pulled away on a different mission, from what I have gathered, to help hold down the imposing forces at Hold's Keep. But given the fact that you like to know exactly what's going on in our party, I'm going to presume that you knew suddenly that he was at Hold's Keep after being with us in the beginning of this adventure. He's the front line, keeping the orcs at bay from coming up and into, I believe, the rest of the human kingdom and the holy city. The reason why Faye was pulled away was directly from her god, Norberger. And I don't know about you, I choose not to argue with gods. And the words that were spoken in between that part of the bit was because there was a section of the world that the corruption from the bone god had yet to touch. It was uncorrupted, and he wanted her to go and seek out why or how this was possible. So that way that knowledge could be possibly utilized over here in fighting the spread of the corruption.
He nods and he's like,
Yes, I've heard of the war that is going on and everything that is being dealt with. It seems as if the holy city's paladins and several of the paladin orders have moved to Hold's Keep and are doing a fairly, good job at fighting off the opposing army. So that is Clyde who is dealing and leading that up.
So I would say it was a good thing,
Yes.
the grand scheme of things, that he was removed from us. It wasn't that we decided to kick him out. If anything, there has been several moments where I have wished he was at our side still.
Well, like as I said, with no spoken word, it's hard to determine what is going on. But it seems as if with everything that's going on, you are, no offense, rather not what I would expect someone to send as a savior for the world. But I do not make it a cause to argue with those who have more power than I when it comes to magic. So I will have to trust that your gods are not playing some strange joke on us.
Isn't that what we all pray every day about?
Oh, I don't.
Well, for those who believe in gods.
he clasps his hands and rubs his knuckles lightly as he watches you two for a long moment.
I have no information on these strange magical artifacts that you are hunting down. I deal in war and tactics.
Which actually, we do have questions for you on that front.
Please.
Because I want to know about King Sylvan.
He stares at you for a moment
Leoris Sylvan,
Yes, Leoris.
the Cannibal King.
Oh, is that what he's called?
Why in the gods would you want to know about that accursed elf?
Do you want the actual long story or the shortened version?
Shortened version, please.
Shortened version. He was a prior adventurer. I'm sure you've heard of him. That worked with Erok, who was an orc. I don't remember their names now. Everest. And
The heroes of Hold's Keep.
the Heroes of Hold's Keep. Yes, you've heard of them, right?
Day of Blood, yes.
Yes, the Day of Blood. He was one of their party members, and after being promised by somebody that his deceased wife could be brought back from the dead and was, he then left to go to an elven king, left to the elven lands near the orc lands and became a king suddenly. And apparently now a cannibal king. But no one knows exactly what happened to Leoris, and while we were working at clearing some of the corruption from a manor that he once presided in, everything that was around him and his history was destroyed. Like, no one wanted to know where he came from. So I'm curious as to what he's doing now. He had to sever his bonds with his mortal coil, just like the other adventurers of the Heroes of Hold's Keep. One became a lich, one became a skeleton, and a light immortal skeleton, and the other one is a vampire, all of which severed their mortal coils. But what about Leoris? I want to know what happened to him.
He actually laughs at you.
In a good way or a bad way?
Depends on how you want to take it.
You want to know of the Cannibal King. The reason he is called that is he feasts on the flesh of halflings and elves that do not bend to his will. How he got power was he single-handedly killed an orc war chief. He is not an elven king. He is a orc king. He has taken the stone orcs of the elven territory and has taken them as his kingdom, and has quite skillfully also absorbed two other elven kingdoms. He, as far as I know, is not immortal. His wife, on the other hand, is.
He swipes his hand across his desk, and a tall, statuesque elf is standing there. Her skin is pale, and you see stitching and scarring around joints. Her hair is long and listless. Her eyes are vacant, but still has pupils. She has this Frankenstein-esque look to her. She is still very statuesque, still very beautiful besides the scarring, but she doesn't look like she is dead vacant. It looks like she has a spirit to her. He smiles. He goes,
This is the thing that he sacrificed. He was able to bring his wife back through a perversion of the mix of science and magic.
Are you sure it was science and magic?
he gives a light shrug.
But you're not certain.
I am certain that he has brought back his wife in some manner that gave him, as long as he eats the flesh of his kin, he
Okay,
will not
as-
die.
Disgusting as that is, you know our mission is to take down the Bone God, which brings people back.
Yeah, I do. And
So, making a vague paw gesture, the wife came back from the dead.
so did the other adventurers.
They have their own way of explaining that they didn't sacrifice themselves to the bone god. He might have.
He stares at you for a long moment and gives it a light nod.
Well, that makes sense in some cases, but why do you ask about the Cannibal King? Most don't even know his existence. He goes under some orcish name so that people do not grow suspicious.
Because I ask because we had to go help, again, the old heroes of Hold's Keep. Because the corrupted Fae from the Bone God was infesting the Rat Kingdom, and they had a stronghold at his old manor where they were destroying everything. Not anything that pertained to the other heroes. They were untouched. Portraits of Leoris. His room had a centered crystal of corruption in it. Anything that dealt with Leoris
Was being pretty well deleted.
Well, if you wanted to be forgotten so that people never saw you as a hero, or that you even existed to begin with, that would be the best way to do it, is remove your record.
But why bother with that? Why would you want to erase your past? Especially if you're apparently a powerful cannibal king that took over a orc kingdom and 2 other elven kingdoms. Why would that even matter?
Same way a child would hide a broken pot that he broke. Embarrassment, hatred of it.
But this is the corruption from the Bone God.
And Leoris has absorbed 2 other kingdoms without using his army. I'm assuming he has something that is more unfightable.
Like what?
He has been acquiring strange materials and moving them into the mountains. Cannons, cannonballs, masses of leathers, metals, raw and tempered.
But if you haven't heard what he used to take over the other 2 kingdoms, it sounds like he's building something. Sure. But what did he do to take over the other 2 kingdoms?
They just disappeared. They were there, and then slowly, as our scouts were reporting back, things were just disappearing, crumbling into the earth, being absorbed by branches and trees until the kingdom itself was gone. And then our scouts found the same people in Leoris's kingdom.
Well, that sounds an awful lot like all of the corruption that we've been fighting that keeps going back to the Bone God. Now, we can keep dancing around this, and you still seem to be blind as to the potential connection. You seem to just deny the fact that it's a possibility. Tell us about the invasion force.
He stares at you for a moment and shakes his head.
Let me guess. Yellow eyes.
Doesn't matter. Tell us about it.
We have seen troops under this strange banner.
He swipes his hand. The banner appears.
A rose with blackened thorns.
The Bone God symbol.
It doesn't matter who it is, but this invasion force has been coming from all sides, except the Cannibal Kings.
And you were wondering why I was asking about the Cannibal King. This directly correlates to this.
You were asking because of his past disappearing.
Okay, but it still leads to the connection that I think it's the Bone God. That's the symbol for the Bone God, and the armies that are surrounding everything is under that banner, which is the Bone God, and yet the armies aren't bothering Leoris? Please tell me you don't see that.
He just stares at you and closes his hand across the desk, which makes everything disappear.
Is there a problem with the way I handle myself?
You seem to be in denial that the Cannibal King and the Bone God, which is my suspicion and why I asked about him, you don't want to even entertain the idea.
That is not my job. My job is to protect my people. bone god or not, if you are willing to do whatever it takes, if you think that this is part of this strange bone god's plan to do whatever this bone god wants to do, and if you think Leoris isn't the problem, that is one thing. The invasion force I was speaking of is my big concern.
I can tell you one thing. If Leoris is in with the Bone God, there's a good chance, especially the way the Bone God seems to pick out targets, you're on the list. It's just a matter of time before they get here. And if we can stop them beforehand, or put a dent in them, that could help you guys out.
Yeah, if we don't stop him, you stop us from stopping him. What's to stop him from coming after you?
He leans back and just stares at you two.
After all, you guys seem to be in possession of knowledge on, for one, potentially how to stop him. If you were my enemy, I would want you guys around because that knowledge could get disseminated, and I would wipe you out, personally.
And right now, it seems like all the knowledge is coming from Nicodemus, who is in the Holy City, which apparently seems to be the target. So, if you get rid of us, they take out the Holy City and learn that Nicodemus was getting his information from somewhere. She'll be eyeing him. Wouldn't you go looking for that source? You guys might be really good at hiding from mortals, but I doubt you're that good at hiding from a god.
Are you quite done, you two?
I don't know. Are you still gonna vote against us?
He just stares at you with the not answering and wipes his hand across the table, which brings back the flag.
As I was saying, the troops that are moving are under this flag, none of which have even made an inch towards Leoris's kingdom, which is housed in an old, forgotten volcano. Through our network of communication, we have found out that he has something being built there. The problem is, when we found out that he was building something, he moved. His entire kingdom is no longer where it was. If you can find out where Leoris has moved his entire kingdom, I have something that will help get rid of the problem of whatever he is building. Which, if you agree to this, I will gladly say that I approve of you being free to move about.
All right, I'm listening.
He nods.
He is building, from what I can tell, a giant flying warship. We have counted about 15 cannons, barrels upon barrels of black powder, and many other things of the like.
Did Fibulus, with his knowledge of engineering, figure out how large of an airship and just how much it would take to get that much crap off the ground?
Give me a knowledge engineering.
33.
It would be a massive, it would be like a galleon-sized battleship.
So, if he's making what I think he's making, that thing's about the size of a galleon. So, that's pretty impressive. They're trying to get something that big off the ground.
He nods.
So, if Leoris is working with the Bone God and you want to stop the Bone God, it sounds like you need to stop Leoris. You find out where Leoris moved, and I will give you the means to destroy whatever he is building.
Deal.
Find me proof of his location, and you are free to leave.
Now, does that mean I have to stay in your city in order to do that? And do you believe that that information can be found in your city?
I believe with Nari's bone casting, reaching out to the ferryman may be our best chance. But I have not approached Nari about this because she feels that using her powers to ask to wage a war is against the tenets.
But using us who's already going against the bone god to grant us knowledge is a different matter.
Correct.
You weren't really against us this whole time. You just wanted to find a way to ask us to help you. Weren't you?
Sometimes you have to look at war at a different angle. Tactics are my friend.
You put on a good face.
He smiles.
Back to Nari?
Back to Nari.
Sounds like we get to make something explode, Defibulus.
It's been a little bit since I blew something up.
As you make your way to the library and you get a chance to kind of take in all the information that you have gained, you get the chance to stop at a street vendor and grab a small meal as we pause here, for this is the end of this week's episode.
Well, ye friends. I must say, the adventurers, mostly Kalila, was able to keep her sass around Redeyes. Strange one, that is. One for tactics and dealing with those ones of war and gods, but cannot approach a simple scholar to ask a favor of the ferryman. It's almost as if he fears that a no would be in the works. Well, nonetheless, they have dealt with one of the most difficult Nagas to deal with, and are one step closer to meeting the ferryman. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for now. For you see, there's many things afoot, and I have something I must deal with. Well, until next time, me friends, may the dice gods bless your every roll.
We here at What the Dice would like to thank Paizo for creating Pathfinder, Epidemic Sound for our music, as well as Sirenscape for our sound effects. If you would like to reach out to us, you can do so on Facebook at What the Dice Pod, Twitter at What the Dice Pod, and of course email whatthedicepod@gmail.com. And if you liked our little adventure, please share us with your friends and rate and review us.